Hi everyone, welcome to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast, your daily audio summary of the latest news reported in the Ukrainian media. My name is Artem, and here is the news. For 393 days, Ukraine stands strong against the forces of the Russian invasion. The European Council adopted a statement regarding Ukraine and its meeting yesterday, reports Interfax Ukraine. The EU countries promised to continue to fully support Ukraine, providing political, economic, military, financial, and humanitarian assistance as needed. The European Union remains committed to supporting Ukraine's repair, recovery, and reconstruction in coordination with international partners. The leaders of the EU welcomed the agreements reached to urgently supply Ukraine with artillery ammunition and, if necessary, missiles. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelenskyy addressed the Council and listed 5 key dangers that are prolonging the war in Ukraine, reports Ukrainska Pravda. First is delays in the transfer of weapons, above all others long-range weapons. Second is the non-provision of modern fighter jets. Third is the danger of delay in decisions on sanctions. Moreover, there must be no slackening of sanctions, especially under the manipulative cover of food security, stressed the president. Fourth is the need to hold the Peace Formula Summit in one of the European capitals. Fifth is the need not to delay the rapprochement between Ukraine and the EU. Ukraine is prepared to make a decision to begin EU accession negotiations this year. The same readiness is required from every leader in Europe, said Zelenskyy. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelenskyy visited yesterday the Kherson region liberated from Russian occupiers last autumn, reports Interfax Ukraine. He got acquainted with the progress of the restoration of infrastructure and energy facilities destroyed as a result of Russia's full-scale aggression. In his evening video address, the President of Ukraine informed that in the liberated part of the Kherson region, more than 50 villages were almost completely destroyed by the occupier. In some places, more than 90% of the buildings in the villages are ruined, but even in such villages, people return, and this is proof that life still prevails. In addition, Zelenskyy reviewed the measures taken to counter Russian shelling of Kherson and other settlements in the region. We would really appreciate if you could rate us, ideally with 5 stars, and leave a glowing review in the apps where you are listening to this podcast: Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and others. This way more people would learn about the highlights from Ukraine and truth about Russia's invasion. Slovak Defense Minister Jaro Naď informed that the first 4 MiG-29 fighter jets handed over to the armed forces of Ukraine have already left the territory of Slovakia, reports Suspilne. The transfer was carried out by Ukrainian pilots. The minister specified that the rest of the fighter jets would be handed over to Ukraine in the coming weeks, but for operational reasons, no further information would be made public in advance. Earlier, the Slovak government approved the transfer of 13 MiG-29 fighters to Ukraine. The Spanish Defense Ministry announced that it will send the first 6 Leopard tanks to Ukraine at the end of next week, reports Radio Liberty. Currently, they are prepared for transfer at a defense plant. Overall, Madrid plans to provide Ukraine with 10 Leopard 2 A4 tanks. The first group of Ukrainian tank crews finished their training in Spain this week. Finland decided to provide Ukraine with another package of military assistance worth more than 160 million euros, reports Ukrinform. The package includes 3 Leopard 2 tanks equipped for demining work. Finland will also train personnel for them. The aid includes heavy weapons and ammunition as well. The government of Ukraine, the World Bank Group, the European Commission, and the UN have revised upwards their assessment of Ukraine's needs for recovery as of February 24, 2023 to $411 billion, reports Interfax Ukraine. In June 2022, their assessment was $349 billion. The World Bank said that the reconstruction and recovery costs are expected to span 10 years and combine the needs of both public and private funds. First $14 billion in investment Ukraine will require already in 2023 for early recovery and reconstruction. The Highlights from Ukraine podcast is a commercial initiative of just 2 people, and we need your help to grow. Share information about the podcast, rate us in the app, subscribe to our Patreon. With your support, we are getting better. We call on you to demand from governments of your countries to impose the toughest sanctions possible on Russia and its citizens to stop their invasion of Ukraine.